do when you can make yourself vulnerable enough to speak from a woman's point of view. I've had a lot of my success as a songwriter writing hits for women, anyway, from the Beyoncés, the Kellys, and all those. And what I wanted to do with Stay for the Kids was, what is she thinking, and what am I perceiving her to be thinking? Am I correct? I may not be correct, but it's always our perception, our view of what the person is going through. And that's with anything that you write. It's just basically your take on what you think that person is dealing with mentally. So when you listen to the first line is, give me joy, give me violence, give me noise, give me silence. Hear my voice, feel my torment, but don't rejoice when I lay dormant. And it's like, when it says, America told me what I should feel, but there it was, to my surprise, I learned that nothing's real. It's like saying that every day we've been traditionally taught, especially strong black women, are taught like, well, you gotta hold it down with this guy even though he ain't no good because you got kids by him, you know what I mean? And a lot of times as men will tell a woman, well, who gonna want you? You got kids by me, you know what I mean? And I think that's the weakest shit a man could do. It's like to try to belittle somebody who you ever said you cared about. And ladies, I always believe this: if anybody ever belittles you, your character, your personally, it's no way I could ever care for you and then maliciously go out of my way to hurt you. You understand? And we make mistakes and we hurt people, you know what I mean? And especially when it comes to infidelity and cheating, and that's something that I had a real issue with in my relationship. But one thing I would never do is go out my way to maliciously hurt somebody that I ever said I love. You understand? I'm gonna go out of my way to try to build them and uplift them. So in Stay for the Kids, it was like so many people. What's the first thing you do when you go through this huge breakup? You get married. You know what I mean? And that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard of. You know what I mean? It's like, because what happens is, you don't get together and you don't find out what the end result of the quarrel was. Like, what happens is we missed each other so much that we got back together. And when we got back together, we didn't want to talk about all our issues. We just were so happy to be reconciliated. And I think that's the biggest flaw in all communities, especially in urban communities. We don't communicate. You know what I mean? We grow up in households where people don't speak. We don't speak and we don't talk about our issues. It's just like we just roll with it. So, like I said earlier, is when I made this album, I wanted to talk about things that I was really dealing with from my standpoint, and the things I really saw that I think people can be affected by, instead of the same old shorty bad, shorty fly, open out, girl you look good, look at my car, look at my house. That's cool, but at the end of the day, what is that the making of? That's not the makings of a man, you know what I mean? Understanding and being able to dialogue, right or wrong. Everything I said in my album may not be correct, but it was honest and it was direct, and I feel like it touched people's nerve. You know, it sparked something.
Indeed. So Mark, you are a new artist, you know, to the world, and you write as well. Listening to this
Marto
Wise Man, this veteran, what are you taking from this as an artist and as a man?
Well, I'm taking from it that you know, there's so many situations that we go through, and you know, as a writer, I've never really written from anybody else's perspective. You know, like that was a big nugget right there, because anytime I'm writing, I'm just writing from my perspective, how I feel about a situation, how I feel in a relationship. I've never even explored, you know, writing from a woman's perspective in a relationship. So that's kind of just opened me up to a new light as I was sitting up here like, man, that shit is good. I can write from her perspective, because at the end of the day, even as a man, we do know that y'all feelings are valid. What the way you feel is real, and you know, although sometimes y'all like to act crazy, you know, just we know, you know, it's real. But you know, the way you feel is something that deserves to be. Y'all's story deserves to be heard as well from a man. I got it together. Okay, y'all chill.
Would you help this man up and give him our perspective, please?
Listen, I just need to say, just listening to Rico talk, it's refreshing to hear that. It's refreshing to hear a man talk like that, Rico. So, okay. 10 points. 10 points. Right, ladies? 10 points.
100 points.
100 points.
1,000 points.
That's that Sagittarius.
Says, oh, you blame it on the Sagittarius. But, to even hear when he was reciting your words for your first verse, I find so many things that when I listen to music, like as women, that's what we do. We listen to songs and we we listen to songs, and that's where we find our reflection. That's where oftentimes where we might not necessarily, like you said, you don't know the question unless you're educated enough. Sometimes a lot of women in our society right now, we get our education from records, like Rico's records, and we're like, yo, we never thought of it this way. Maybe I should stand up for myself. Maybe I should do this. So I'm just listening right now. I can't even talk because I'm just like I said, I'm refreshed to be hearing artists and a songwriter speak as you are right now.
Y'all give it up for all of these beautiful people. Rico, name the other song. I forgot the name.
Days Go By.
Days Go By.
Yeah.
That.
So Days Go By, it's like, you know when they say time heals all wounds, right? Yeah. That's not true. No, it's not. See, one thing my good friend Rob Hill singing, he taught me. He said, it didn't hurt itself, it can't heal itself. Yeah. Understand? So if you broke your leg and you just lay down, of course the bone might heal, but it didn't grow back the right way. So with Days Go By, it's just saying an incredible thing can happen to you when you become successful. One thing about it is everybody's around, everybody's showing love. It's one thing to go from zero. See, I grew up poor, so I went from zero to millions. You know what I mean? And that's a weird space to be in. It was a gradual grind. The work was there, but as far as just one day you don't have nothing, and then you get a wire for some crazy money. Mentally, you can change. And I don't think I lost my humility in the sense of how I treated people or how I spent time with people. But I did, in the realms of a relationship, I felt like I was exempt from certain things. And with Days Go By, it's like the difficult. I always tell people in my show, I said the toughest thing for a man with money to see is his woman in love with a man who don't got no money. Because now you know you couldn't buy her back. You know what I mean? She couldn't be bought. So with that record, with Days Go By, it was just basically just saying, like, I thought the craving stopped, but I still want you. Because when it's real, it never goes away. It only grows much stronger as those days go by. And I think that that was one of the things I had to deal with. And mind you, I had a son, and I'm living in this huge mansion with 10 bedrooms by myself. I didn't even invite people over. And then you broken up with this girl that you love, and you thinking I'm going to be the super big playboy, you know what I mean? And when it first happened, I was like, oh, I'm about to turn this into a whole house. You did it now. You ruined. You shouldn't have left. You shouldn't have left. I'm about to go crazy. And then I'm in it by myself every day. I didn't even want nobody over there. You know what I'm saying? Because, it's one of those things that happens in a relationship that we deal with every day. And it's like an ego. When your ego is involved and you start realizing, like, damn, this cannot be fixed from money. It's going to be fixed from honesty and truth and me just admitting my faults, and discussing those things. I just wanted to speak on that on the record, you know what I mean? I just felt like that was valuable tidbit as opposed to the same old, like I said, it could be the same old Baby I'm Sorry song, but then you don't realize that feeling, when you listen to Days Go By, you hear, when I say dinner alone, nobody's home, no messages on my telephone, just pictures hanging up on the wall, oh Lord, it's like you picturing every scene of it, and that's what the record should do. It shouldn't be too wordy. As songwriters, I think songwriters make the mistake of making things too wordy, and they don't know how to describe a scene without painting it perfect. Like, you got to be able to paint enough a scenario that you can paint it yourself. You should be able to experience it the same way I can experience. I wrote the theme song for Sex and the City, the movie, years ago, right? And so I learned from Michael Patrick King, who was So the director, it was a song called Labels of Love. It was a theme song for the movie. And what Michael Patrick King taught me something. He said, if the scene is doing it, the song doesn't have to say it. So it's like you got to figure out a way to describe everything without giving everything away. Because you want the person to be able to paint their own picture, because we are literal as people. So if I give it too much of me and too much identity, you as a man might be like, well, that don't fit me, because I ain't, It's like, well, I hate when artists say their name in a song. It's like, why did you say your name? Everybody ain't your name. You know what I mean? It's just different things that you got to learn about when you're writing songs, and being able to grab the listener in so much so that they're lost in the words, and they can even... And I hate when people say, well, I've never been through that. But that's just like, I never been in... If I watch a horror film, I can enjoy it if I never had ghosts in my house, right? It's being able to put yourself in that person's shoes and identify with their pain, whether you went through it or not. You know what I mean? It's just that us humans, we should be able to identify and connect with people based upon their description of that feeling, you know? And the blessed part about my gift, I believe it's a gift from God, is to be able to describe how I feel. So many people can't do it. So many people, and it's such a thing that's so natural to me to just describe how I'm feeling. I talk to kids, and when I talk to my son has a gift of telling you exactly how I feel. Like, this is how I feel, Daddy. You know, I don't like this because of this. And he's 5. So I think that that's a gift, and people don't have that. That's why we're so valuable as songwriters and as artists, is to be able to describe that feeling, because people are like, you know why people cry when they see Mary J. Blige? Mary is a good friend of mine. And when you're around Mary J. Blige, you see women, we'll be at a restaurant. We were at a restaurant in London, me and Mary, and a lady came up to the table and was crying. And Mary said, you know, it's not because I'm famous. It's because I figured out how to talk to her. And I figured out, listen, not that's the one part. She said, I figured out how to talk to her. She said, but that's not why she's crying either. I said, why? She said, I figured out how to talk for her. That's why. Because imagine if you're feeling all these things and there's a muzzle on you, and then somebody speak up and say, no, this is what he means. This is what he feels. This is what she means. This is what she feels. You like, thank you. I've been trying to say it. Back when I was a kid, we used to dedicate songs, you know what I mean?
Yes.
We used to tell, you know, you send somebody a song like, listen, this is how I'm feeling, play that. That's what the record should do. So as artists, if you're songwriters out there, if you're artists out there, if your music doesn't identify with people and how they feel, one thing about it, that fad, finicky shit is going to be around and you might get a hot record. But your fizz going to go real fast when you're chasing those little doobie bop bop bop. But one thing about it is, when you would connect to people emotionally, it'll start with 5 fans, 10 fans, 20 fans, 100 fans, 100,000 fans, millions of fans, because people are connected to you, and your songs don't have expiration dates. You know what I mean? So that's what that is. What days go by. I took up too much time.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We're soaking this in. And you know, I can tell, I can watch your brain moving by your eyes. Krisha is thinking. So tell me what was on your mind when he was talking about relationships, songwriting, everything. What part stuck out the most to you?
No, I personally have been in New York for the last 4 months recording records. The label's been sending me here, working with this producer, working with that producer, and you're right. Right now on the radio, so much of the lyrical content is of hotness. Yeah, hot, man, hot, Lamborghini, and team, red, all that kind of stuff.
The rest of the radio play everything else. Urban radio is the only radio that makes us suffer. I want y'all to understand something. Urban radio is the only place where they're going to tell us that love songs don't work no more, where black people listen. But Adele can come out with Hello and sell on pop. And then the same program director that'll tell a black artist that they can't fit this format and this song don't work will play the Adele record 100 miles an hour on the black station. You understand that? I want y'all to realize what's going on. They want kids, they want young black kids, the powers that be, they want them to not know about love, they want them to not recognize what real true being a man is, they don't understand what being a real woman is. So what they do is, they make those type of records easily accessible on Top 40 and Rhythm Radio. Now I'm going to take you another way. As a black artist, if I wanted to go service a record to Top 40 and Rhythm Radio, this is what they're going to tell me. They got to work first at that urban. As soon as it work first at urban, we'll cross it over. So why you gotta cross it over? You know it ain't gonna work first at urban because they don't play these type of records. And then when it does well, you don't think about all the black artists that work at pop radio. They're making some goofy ass song about something. You know what I mean? It's like seriously, it's like we gotta be court justice. Why I gotta be a court justice to work at fucking radio? You know what I mean? Why I gotta make some silly dance up for y'all to play my show? Why I gotta get some type of Instagram, some famous person on Instagram doing the fucking Millie Rock to my song for me to work, and everybody else can just put out a great song? So I don't want people to say radio ain't playing it. It's fucking black radio that ain't playing it. You understand? And it's these program directors who are in a tough position. I can't blame. But listen real close. I can't even blame a program director for it because he got to answer to his boss. She got to answer to her boss. It's just that it's the pressure on them saying, oh, well, this didn't research, and this didn't come back good. But then you don't know the people that they're researching it to. They're researching records to people who don't even identify with those type of things. And that's why you'll go to a market where they didn't play somebody else, and then when I perform it, everybody knows the words. And you're like, what's going on here? It's because it's a disconnect, and y'all not trying to figure out where the disconnect is. You're happy with us talking about
hit the Quan.
Exactly. Have a good time. But let me tell you something. I always want to look back on the records that I've written and the things I've been able to be a part of. And no matter if it was a dance record, if it was a party record, if it was a club record, I always wanted to make sure the lyrical content was there. When I listen to, this is a song I didn't write, but one of my favorite songs, We Found Love by Rihanna, right? And it's such a strong, it's a dance song, and it's fun, and it's a party song, but it's such despair and pain in it. And it was genius. It was a genius lyric. I want us to do that and challenge ourselves as artists, as writers, as listeners. And I want y'all to stop accepting such bullshit, you know what I mean? Because everybody can say, yeah, but as soon as somebody come to town talking that bullshit, y'all gonna be paying $100 for the ticket, get your hair done, wait in line, and you supporting something that ain't supporting you. You understand? It's not really supporting you. That's for sure. I fuck with you for that.
Okay, we're gonna take a couple questions from the audience. Who wants to ask something? Okay, my friend. Come on, come on.
Since you spoke about lyrical content, have you felt pressure by radio to dumb down your lyrics? And what's your stance on the current state of R&B in particular, where you see artists like Tyrese and Tank fighting to get that play, but they're not really crossing over to those different markets?
What you got to be is current too. You got to be current. I can say, first thing, I'm not going to question. I'm not going to put my integrity in question and compromise my integrity for a radio spin. That's what I won't do. But when you listen to my music, it feels current. Now, if a guy's making an old gospel hymnal and they're mad when it's not playing on radio, you can't be mad at that. You understand? And that's just me being real. If you want to keep it 100, you can't complain about the format not playing you and you're not making records that are today. You understand? Temptations could come out right now with a record they ain't gonna play either. You know what I mean? As great as they are, legendary as they are, if your music ain't current, I'm sorry, it just ain't gonna work. So I don't even like to be bunched in that group. My issue is if you make a record that could work at all formats and it's not getting the opportunities because I'm black. That's a problem. That's something that people don't want to say and want to hear, but that's the issue. Not a record. Of course, if you're making a record that sounds like a 1990s Jodeci song, I don't think it's going to fit in this format right now. That's just me being honest. But if you're making records that feel current, that feel today, then you should have the opportunity to be able to service that record to top 40 in rhythm as well as urban, you know? Right. So, and again, to answer your question about compromise, I never would compromise what I do. That's why you don't hear a lot of my songs on the radio right now. It's because I'm not going to be that. Like, bro, I'll be 33 years old tomorrow, right? And I'm gonna tell you what's real. When I overheard some kids the other day when we was in Phoenix on the tour. I overheard some kids saying, "Oh, Kanye West is old." And Kanye 37. He's 37, 38 years old. And because what happened is the culture used to respect the people that came before them and paved the way. Now it's so many young acts that are out that they're taking it as, well, if I got a guy who's 19, I'm gonna rock with 19. Anybody 25 is old. You understand? Exactly, but we're not doing anything to educate them. You know why? Because the guy who's 30, he putting on some fucking stupid ass shoes and pants too, trying to look like the little 19-year-old instead of being OG. You understand? So you get lost in the sauce. That's one thing I'll never do. I'll never do. Thanks.
Can you? What's your name? Sharice.
Okay. One, I'm like one of your biggest fans too. I'm a songwriter as well. Dive and All of the Night, two of my favorite songs. What advice do you have for someone who is trying to make it like you are and trying to get placed as a songwriter?
See, it's getting placed and make it. It's no advice on how to make it. If a person gave you advice on how to make it, they full of shit. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own journey. If you haven't left home yet, that's the first thing you did wrong. See, I slept on the corner boys' floor for 3 years. If D-Town back there will tell you, I slept on their floor for 3 years. My mother thought I was going to be a real loser, you know? As much as my mother loved me, and but she really was sad for me. Like, my son has been sleeping on these kids' couch for all these years trying to make it. And I sacrificed and I believed in something. This was 12, 13 years ago. But I believed in something. When I got kicked out of school, I was like really adamant that I was going to make it. So when people say they want to make it but they haven't left home yet, it's hard for me to really believe that you're doing everything it takes to do it. You know what I mean? And what happens is somebody will leave home for 2 months and be like, I was out here and It was rough. I had to go back home. I ain't had no car. I ain't had no money. I didn't know how to feed myself. But I'll be honest with you, I look back, it was some of the happiest times of my life when I struggled. It wasn't until I started making money till I started seeing the highest level of betrayal. So I started seeing the highest level of like fake dependency and all these things that was going on with me. So if you ain't ready for that grind, I can't tell you how to get on. If I could tell you how to get on, I'll buy that shit up and I'll be a billionaire already right now. Because that's the key. But I can't take your journey. I would never deprive you of your journey. You got to figure out your journey. But it's about, are you going to take no for an answer? Or are you going to be the, every time somebody tell me that can't happen, I'll be like, well, I'm going to be the first one to do it. What I'm developing right now is a conference. And I really want to speak on that. This conference I'm developing where it's a true opportunity for songwriters, artists, producers, choreographers, managers to be able to come somewhere and really become educated. See, a panel can only give you so much. Like I said, you're only going to ask questions based upon what you know, right? Yeah. So you really not learning anything. I could give you my life story right now and everybody in this room would cry. And they would feel good and they feel motivated. Then they leave and they ain't really learn shit. You just were inspired. I could have told you that in the book. But when you have interactive classroom settings where people can give you the essence of songwriting, what makes a song great, what makes production great, how can I get out here, understanding the business from the highest level. When I started in the business, I started off signed to Usher when he had Confessions. This was the biggest of his career. I saw up close and personal what the game was like from the highest level of the game. I'm talking about inner workings. I asked questions. I was out there, and when I was around anybody, I always introduced myself and told them what I did and made sure I built a relationship. I was never around somebody and just comfortable with just being around somebody, and that's the first step. You understand? I never was just like, oh man, I'm hanging with Diddy. I was like, yo, Diddy, I write songs, bro. Let me get your number. All right, you give me a number? Well, he'll take mine. If you need some records, hit me up. And as soon as the tour was over, I met KP and I met Mark Pitts. I was on the tour and I met KP and Mark. And I said to Mark, bro, I write songs, man. I'm telling you. He said, yeah, you wrote that throwback song. I love it. This, and that. And guess who put me? He said, I got this new young artist who I'm trying to develop. Can you write songs for whoever? He from VA. His name Chris Brown. Can you get him to do songs with us? And then I met with KP, and he said, you know, B2K just broke up. Omarion doing solo album. You want to do some songs for that? Yeah, let's do it. And then you link up, you start working your set. It's about being in that environment, but you can't do that from here if you ain't around nobody. But guess what? If you sweeping up the floor at the studio at Circle House in Miami, you bumping into everybody, and you're saying, oh man, who's shorty who's sweeping up the floor over here? Who is her? She always humble and nice, and she always, what you do? You understand? You can't, if you ain't in a position to get it, how you gonna get it? Yes. You gotta get up and go. And you gotta be ready to sit down and and struggle for a little while, you know, or for a lot of while. You know what I mean?
A lot of while. We have another question. This gentleman, real talk.
Yo, peace. Fan. I'm a full-time artist, poet, MC as well. Moved to Atlanta a year and a half ago. But my question to you is, a lot of times when it comes to business, period, that if you don't have ownership, you're pretty much like a supervisor, right? So one thing I wanted to encourage you or challenge you or ask you, would you be interested in doing is, you talk about the different obstacles that we run into with radio. Would you be interested in like investing in or starting your own radio format?
Or the thing about it is, that's not where my passion is, right? That's where it's like this, like I'm good friends with Giuseppe Zanotti, right? He's a good friend of mine, and everybody tells me you should do a clothing line, you'd be into the fashion. And I said, well, why don't you tell Giuseppe he should write records since he likes music too? You understand that? So that's not where my passion is. Just because I'm raging against the machine doesn't mean I want to become it. You understand? So what I understand is that it's levels of growth that can be there, but I want to try to affect change in a different way. If I spend all my time trying to become what they are, I'll miss out on the opportunity to change the minds of the people that they're affecting. I think that's more valuable if I can control the people. If I want to be the people, who knows? What if I get into the business and it's so lucrative for me that I become the machine now? You know what I mean? I always think about things from that perspective as opposed to just like, oh, well, let me go and change. I want to change it. Let me be. Nah, bro. What if I get in it and they start throwing these checks around? You be like, you know what? I don't care about the kids either. You know what I mean? Then that's just being honest.
Oh, God. He gonna make me go run away from home and quit and get back on the ground.
We need you over there.
Oh, my God. It's not my passion, though. It's not my passion. What's your name?
My name is Jessica too, bro.
I love Jess. She's been rocking with me for years too, for a long time. Yeah.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Okay, so my question is focus. Right now, honestly, I'm trying to get into songwriting. I find it hard to take my mind off the things that I do every day and to focus on exactly what I want to show people what I'm feeling, like my feelings. I find it hard to get in contact with that. So how do you get in that mode?
What I do is, first of all, I listen to everything. I'm a fan of music, and I study great songs. You understand? I study. I might do a whole week of just listening to Magical Mystery Tour by the Beatles, right? And I start understanding who they were when that song was written, and I started learning, like, okay, they were tripping on LSD the whole time they wrote the album. Or I listened to the White Album, right? Or I listened to Hendrix, or I listened to Harry Nilsson or Leonard Cohen, and I started identifying with the pain and with the genius in the lyric, and I try to figure out, all right, cool, the most simplest thing, the simplest thing that can happen to you, how can I explain that? And it's like, in the essence, you're saying the thing that's so obvious to us in a way that isn't so obvious. And that's all it is about. How do you feel? This is an exercise you can do. When you're feeling anxious, write down, today I felt anxious because this. Today this is how I felt when this happened. And then you start reading these words over, and it'll be certain little lines inside of there that'll just be perfect for the record. You know what I mean? And it's certain cadences in which you can say something too that can affect the person a little bit more. When I say, I thought the craving stopped, but I still want you. You read that and it give you chills. You know what I mean? You'll think about it like, damn, that's so simple, right? Because when it's real, it never goes away. It only grows much stronger. It's like, damn, that's so real. But it's not like I had to look in the thesaurus for that. So it's just the basic things. I think what happens as writers, you overthinking things. And this one girl sent me a song called Styrofoam or something. I'm like, babe, come on. Are you trying so hard to be deep instead of saying the obvious thing that's right there in front of you? And that's why, first of all, there's no such thing as writer's block. I want y'all to understand that. When people say, I got writer's block, that does not exist. What happens is, you're trying to force yourself to write to something that ain't there. Take a walk. Listen to some music. Go do something else. Start another idea. But your creativity, you mean to tell me that God can never give you something and then cut it off? That's what you're saying when you say you got a writer's block. It's saying that he just said today, you know what, you can't do it today. It don't work like that. Now today might not be the day that you're supposed to write a song, or maybe you're supposed to take a walk, or you're supposed to, you just can't force anything. I've been in the studio with some of the biggest acts in the world, and I was able to tell them, today I ain't feeling it. I would never even make them pressure me into them writing them a song, because I'll make myself look foolish. Now I wrote them a song that I wasn't proud of, and they gonna leave and say, this nigga Rico wasn't all I thought he was gonna be. He wrote all these great songs for everybody else, and today he didn't give it to me. And then the next day I might show up and it'd be the best song ever. You know what I mean? I wrote Sweet Dreams for Beyonce when she was 5 hours late for the session because of a storm. And I sat in the studio, and there's a song I wrote called Build a House that I thought was the greatest song ever. I said, I can't wait till B get here to hear it. And her flight was late, and I could have went out and did something else, but I stayed, and Jim Johnson started playing this synth, boom, 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 and I said, all right, hold on. So I wrote Sweet Dreams, and I wrote it. And when she showed up to the studio, I said, I wrote this song for you called Build a House. I want you to hear it. She said, well, listen, I cannot record right now. Jay-Z is starting the tour with Mary J. Blige. The first night is tonight in Miami. I got to go to the show, but I want to show up here to let you know that I didn't want to stand you up, but I can't record today. So I played it, Build a House. She said, oh, that's a nice song, I said, well, I just wrote this other song called Beautiful Nightmare before you got here, and, it's real rough. And I played it for her. She was looking like, first of all, she showed up looking like Beyonce. I'm talking about her hair, earrings popping, she had glitter on her, I don't know, it was just everything, right? And when she listened to the song, she said, how much time we got? To Angie? Angie said, we only got 15 minutes. She took her earrings off and her high heels off, and we recorded Sweet Dreams in 15 minutes. It was because I didn't force the other record. I was able to just, and she recorded the whole. If you listen real close to Sweet Dreams, if you listen to the backgrounds, it's me singing her backgrounds. It's not even her singing, because she didn't have time to sing the backgrounds. That's how fast she sang the song. So those moments, you gotta pick those moments, and you can't force anything. I really thought Built the House was gonna be the best song ever. And in retrospect, I listen to it now, I'm like, that shit's garbage. So, just it ain't your moments will come to you. Trust me, just trust it. And don't force it.
Do you ever have any issues writing, Mark? Do you try to force yourself?
Yeah,
I can look at you and tell.
This is like a masterclass sitting right here, because as he's saying everything, I'm replaying those situations in my head, being in the studio last night and saying, y'all, I don't got it tonight, you know, I don't got it. And realizing, learning that that's okay to walk away, because we so conditioned as artists to be like, no, we got to get it done. No, I'm just going to write this, you know, I just got to push through. And just knowing, like, literally I was in the studio last night and was just like, I don't got it. And my producer like, no, man, you just distracted right now. You just distracted right now. It's her brother, actually. He's crazy.
What'll happen is people, first of all, you cannot believe the hype. People will put so much pressure on you, and then you'll walk in the room and they'll be like, yo, you know who this is? This Rico Love, he the blah, 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 blah. And then you get there and you might not hear it that day. Now everybody in the room is like, come on. You got to be honest enough with yourself to say to them, today ain't the day.
Yeah.
Today is not the day, and respect the process. Salam Remy, I had a session with Salam Remy. I know you should be familiar with Salam. Yeah. He's like, genius producer, like, you know. And first day I go work with Salam Remy, he lived way out in Kendall. I drive way out there. I wasn't living in Miami at the time. I was just visiting. So I'm driving way out 45 minutes. I got a rental car. I get all the way out there. He said, have you ever heard, as soon as I get there, I walked in the door. I'm like, it's a pleasure to meet you, Salam. This is like 6-7 years ago. He says, have you ever heard an album by Marvin Gaye called Here My Dear? I said, no, I'm not familiar with it. He said, well, listen, Marvin Gaye, at that time, being honest, I wasn't. He said, Marvin, because I was only into the classics, you know, the things that was like super successful at that time. So he said, Marvin Gaye made this album called Here My Dear. In his divorce with his wife, they granted her that all the proceeds from his next album had to go to her. All the royalties, all the publishing, everything. So he wrote the album and called it Here My Dear. You know what I mean? And he wrote about their relationship and how horrible she treated him and how horrible he treated her. It was one of the best Marvin Gaye albums, I think, ever, right? He said, have you ever heard the album? I said, no. He said, all right, go listen to it, and then we'll write songs. I said, cool. Then he stood there quietly and looked at me, and he said, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. I said, I drove all the way here. He said, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. I went home, and I listened to Hear My Dear all night in my hotel room, and I listened to it. The next night we came in and I wrote a song for Jamie Foxx called Don't Know Why. And I wrote this song for this guy named Noel Gourdin. That was just so incredible. And I just started, I was inspired. I wrote some of the dopest stuff that I had ever written, because he didn't force anything. He didn't say, I just met you, bro. I'm supposed to walk in here and we just supposed to create magic. You know what I mean? I think that people expect that. Your producer might expect that. If you respect the process enough, you know that it cannot happen like that. How can you say you respect and love music if you expecting for people? If you expecting for people to just walk in the room and just say, "All right, cool, I'm gonna build Rome."
I have one more question.
I have a question for both Mark and Krisha. Based on all the things that Rico Love has said, how do you all balance between writing what's going on in your life and writing what people want to hear?
But then the thing is, at the same time, what people want to hear, because right now they want to hear a whole bunch of nonsense, what we were talking about earlier. They want to hear the Millie Rock and all them things. So it's but as artists, all we can do is whatever it is that we feel. Like, that's what artistry is. We catch a vibe. We are in a vibe of an emotion or a place or a time or a relationship, and we can only put out what that is. You know what I mean? Like, everybody loves the new Adele record, Hello, because she was singing that song with conviction. If she did not ever experience an emotion like that, you might have heard the record and nobody would have connected with it the same way, because there's an authenticity to her delivery, and that's why we connect with. So we can only give as artists what we connect with. So as long as we stay true to that, that's A1. And then just listening to Rico talk, you are definitely a veteran, Marsha. I've been listening here like, oh my, I feel like I should be standing out there. But there's so much that I've consumed today that I'm excited to kind of essentially apply and think about now when I'm back in the lab, when I'm back in the studio recording and working on music. And if there's anything that I feel like the gods have been sending to me constantly, and I've been having this feat just recording, is I keep telling everybody that I'm working with that I need emotional content, because all of my favorite records are emotional records. And exactly like you said, everything that we put out as artists, the only